Tonight, new details emerging on the mysterious deaths of a family in Burlington. Their decomposing bodies were found inside of a foreclosed home back in June. Now we're learning much more about the conditions inside. Your reporter Owen Kingsley got a hold of those court documents and reveals more about this case.
An overwhelming foul odor and bodies wrapped in sleeping bags. This warrant reveals exactly what police walked into when they first went into this house. It's still unclear how long ago these three people died or how they died. It's been a mystery for the past couple months. Skeletal remains of three people were found in this home on Stanwich Lane after it was purchased at foreclosure. They've been identified as Paul and Sally Cash and their son, Brian Cash. We're learning new details from court documents of what exactly police found inside. The first floor was cluttered with garbage bags with unknown items. Then they smelled an overwhelming foul odor consistent with a decomposing human body. That's when they found the first skeleton on its back in a sleeping bag in a bedroom. A disturbing detail to hear for Garland Eastman, who lives nearby.
That's horrible, especially that, no one would notice the smell for that amount of time.
An officer then found a second skeleton next to it. They also found rolled up towels on the floor and various sized water bottles filled with water within the bathtub. Upstairs, police found the third skeleton also in a sleeping bag. Ken Gray, a lecturer in criminal justice from the University of New Haven, has a theory of the condition these three were in based on these findings.
These were people who were desperate to stay warm. They were inside their sleeping bags. They were trying to stop cold air from coming into the residence.
The last hard evidence in this affidavit of the three being alive is a car's registration in the garage that expired in 2019, as well as a prescription pill bottle for Sally Cash with a fill date in 2019. Police say there were no signs of a struggle. The chief medical examiner has noted that decomposition limited their investigation. They ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning.
An interesting case, whenever you have an unwitnessed death like that, it leaves questions open as to what exactly transpired.
The chief medical examiner has said possible causes of death include malnutrition and hypothermia from cold exposure. Your reporter in Burlington, I'm Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.